Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are St. Louis.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball, and this evening from Miami, Florida, and Marlins Park, it's game number 2 between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Miami Marlins. With Jim Hayes, Tim McCarver, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Delighted to have you with us on Fox Sports Midwest. Tim, the Cardinals' best record in baseball, 22 games above the 500 mark, and a big reason why pitching, and in particular, their starters.
Last night, another example of how the Cardinals have been scratching, clawing, fighting, and winning games. 4-3 last night. They expect the same consistency out of Jaime Garcia tonight.
Well, Jaime hasn't had great run support, but yet has pitched so well this season. He's 2-3. He'll get right-hander Matt Latos going for the Miami Marlins. When we come back, a closer look at Giancarlo Stanton. Cardinals, Marlins, coming up in game number 2. The longest home runs by Stanton at this ballpark. And this ballpark is not a hitter's park. And these are some of the longest home runs you'd see anywhere. The longest, the blue, 484 feet. And that happened just a year ago. Well, last night, he almost got there, 482 feet off the bat of Giancarlo Stanton. That against Carlos Martinez. 482 feet. One of the premier power hitters in all of baseball. He's in the lineup tonight. Giancarlo Stanton of the Marlins. at second and play third base. One of the hottest hitters in this lineup, right fielder Jason Hayward, who homered last night. Cards and Marlins, Game 2 coming up. Miami, where the roof is closed. It is muggy and hot outside. Along with Tim McCarver and Jim Hayes, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome back to Marlins Park in Little Havana, the area here in Miami. There's a look at Mike Matheny, his club, as we mentioned in the open. Tim McCarver, the best record right now in baseball.
And they have been unbelievable with their share of injuries. Every team goes through that. The Cardinals certainly no exception to that. But they have been pounding out close game wins all year long. 70 games, 46-24 overall.
And currently with a 6-game lead over Pittsburgh. It was a tight win last night, 1-run game, as Colton Wong will lead it off here in Game 2, followed by Matt Carpenter and Johnny Peralta. Key base hit last night, and at bat by Mark Reynolds. Then Jason Hayward, who homered. Yadier Molina, John Jay, Randall Grichuk, and the pitcher batting ninth, that's Jaime Garcia. Cardinals face Matt Latos, who is making his 12th start here in 2015.
Miami making a trade for Latos from Cincinnati over the wintertime, and he had 2 injuries last year to his right knee and his right elbow. As a matter of fact, a couple of starts ago, he had spent some time on the disabled list. Said that it gave him time to clear his head and rest his arm, and coincidentally my partner has that same thing in his contract.
Oh yeah,
when you miss a few games, you want to clear your head and rest your arm.
I'm not worried about the arm, definitely worried about the head. You're right about that. The Hyundai pitch arsenal for Matt Latos, and since he's come back, Tim, from the DL, they have noticed an uptick in velocity. He's also keeping the ball down in the zone, so that's been beneficial for him. He's throwing right now in the mid-90s.
Pitching much better.
He's 27 years of age. Already has pitched in 6 major league seasons. Last year, only 16 starts for Cincinnati. And the first pitch, a strike to Colton Wong. Wong has had a tough road trip, just 2 for 20, overall batting .279. And this pitch is popped up. First baseman is Jeff Baker. Puts it away. One down. Here's third baseman Matt Carpenter, who's hitting .291, 8 home runs. He's driven in 33. And he is coming off 2 consecutive days off. The off day for the team. Did not play last night, so he's set to go here for game number 2.
You talked about Latos throwing the ball in the mid-90s. You could tell by those first 2 fastballs to Wong, he's revving it up tonight. That's as hard as I've seen him throw in a couple of years. You know, it's all those hidden injuries too. You have injuries to your elbow, your shoulder, but a guy like that, when he gets hot, I mean, he's a guy who won 14 games in 3 different years. Once for San Diego and twice for Cincinnati.
We saw him in spring training. The ball wasn't jumping out of his hand like we're seeing tonight. And his slider was really flat, which can be a tough pitch for him.
Those go longer than any of them. That's a one Stanton hit last night.
2 balls and 1 strike. At home, he has struggled. Matt Latos, 27 1/3 innings here at this ballpark, and an ERA that's close to 8. However, his last start at home against the Rockies, he struck out 11, gave up 4 hits in 7 innings.
It's a tough lineup too.
2 balls and 1 strike on Carpenter. Good life on that fastball.
Yeah.
Matt Latos is from this area. Attended the Marlins inaugural game April 5th of 1993. He was in the stands as a young kid watching Charlie Huff deliver that first pitch. Fouled back. Product of Coconut Creek High School and Broward College.
I think he was in the 1st grade, right? He was 7 years old. 1st or 2nd grade when the Marlins played their first game in the ballpark that the Dolphins played and have played for years.
A 2-2 pitch. Strikeout of Carpenter. That pitch at 96.
Oh yeah.
Defensively, with Giancarlo Stanton in right field, very good arm. Marcell Ozuna, good speed in center. Ichiro Suzuki at the age of 41 is in left. Donovan Solano, Edeni Echeverria, D. Gordon, and Jeff Baker along the infield. JT is behind the plate. He's a good one. Real Muto is what they call him. JT Real Muto. Jared Saltalamacchia was released in year 2 of a 3-year contract, and you don't see the Marlins do that very often.
No, you don't. He signed a minor league contract with someone.
Arizona,
right.
11th in the league in average is Johnny Peralta. At .305, 11 home runs. He has driven in 40. First in home runs among shortstops in the National League. Second in RBIs. Into right field, there's Stanton at a 1-2-3 inning for Matt Latos. Lefty Jaime Garcia to the mound for St. Louis when we come back on Fox Sports Midwest. by Suzuki, and then Baker. Giancarlo Stanton, the ultimate cleanup man. Then Ozuna, Real Muto, Echeverria, Donovan Solano, who was in the minor league system with the Cardinals, and Matt Latos batting ninth. Latos 4 for 11 so far this year. And it's left-hander Jaime Garcia with his 7th start in this 2015 campaign.
Jaime brings 14 consecutive scoreless innings into this game. He has had 6 starts and given up 8 earned runs. Superb.
Not seeing him give up home runs, very few walks, and the Hyundai pitch arsenal, which really stood out with him in talking with the Cardinals personnel. The velocity, Tim, is up this year, and as we were talking to them, they love the sink that he's getting on his pitches. They think the velocity is added to that sink, and he's getting a ton of ground balls. About 67% of the balls put in play are ground balls.
Yeah, he's never reached 91 miles per hour on a fastball in the major leagues, and his use of his off-speed stuff early makes his fastball look that much faster.
Here's Dee Gordon. He was 1 for 5 with a double last night. And the first pitch is strike. So the 354 average, second to Paul Goldschmidt, leads the league at 355 for Arizona.
Dee Gordon finally becomes the player that the Dodgers wanted, and they trade him.
It's funny how it works out, isn't it?
Yes.
It was Dee Gordon grounding into a double play to end another 1-run victory for St. Louis. They are 15 and 11 in 1-run games this year. There's your ground ball to the right side, handled by Reynolds. Quickly to the bag for the first out. Randall Grichuk is in left field. John Jay in center. Jason Hayward in right. Carpenter, Peralta, Wong, and Reynolds along the infield. Molina behind the plate. That's presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. How much fun is it to watch this guy play still?
I think he's coming back next year from what the Marlins say. The front office intent on keeping the man and perhaps seeing him get to 3,000 hits in an American uniform next year.
He's got a shot.
Yeah, he's 124 away from it right now. 2,886 hits in this country after having well over 1,200 in Japan. He's a marvel.
They say he is in better shape than anybody on this team, and that includes Stanton.
You know
Think
why?
about that.
You know why? He stretches. We've talked about how stretching is so important. And major league stretches before games, they're a joke for all teams. It's a joke. No wonder major league players come down with so many leg injuries.
There's a look at our
thigh injuries, hamstrings. Excuse me, Dan.
No, Kia in the driver's seat and his hits. I love watching him when he's on deck. Watch him stretch.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
Very strict diet. But again, he's 41, and they say he's in the best shape of anybody on this team. There's a breaking ball taken outside. We were talking to, there he goes. He's stretching right there. We were talking to Giancarlo Stanton about him, and he said if you didn't see the 4 or 5 gray hairs that he has, you'd think he's the youngest guy on the team. Boundless energy.
From what he can do and what he does do and how he prepares for a game. You've got to play him shallow in the opposite field. You cannot allow him to hit a ball over your head. You dare him to hit a ball over your head. Actually, I think Randall Grichuk should be about 5 steps in right now.
Hits it to the left side, taken by Carpenter. And there's 2 down. We turn to Tim McCarver's Toyota keys to the game.
Award-winning.
Absolutely. I'm on the edge of my seat. What do you have?
This is a big one. Really tough. Keep pitching a priority. Derek Lilliquist has just done a remarkable job with this Cardinal pitching staff. Keep pitching a priority.
You have
Another
done
award winner.
A remarkable job on those keys. Wow.
Yeah.
You were thinking about that for weeks.
At least.
A strike at the knees to Jeff Baker. The interesting matchup here in this game tonight is a lefty facing this lineup, which is best in baseball against left-handed pitching and average on base percentage, slugging percentage. They just destroy lefties. They come in at an average as a team at 274. Look at that pitch. He gave up on it.
Cardinals are thinking, not our lefty.
He's going to be tough tonight. Garcia, his first strikeout. Any size drink, just 50 cents the next day. Coffee, fountain, frozen drinks. When they score, you pour at your nearest on the run. You earned it. Cardinals have Mark Reynolds, Jason Hayward, and Yadier Molina. Top of the second against Matt Latos, who struck out Matt Carpenter. Got a pop out and a fly out, and a 1-2-3 first inning. Matt Latos, by the way, Tim, also leading the league in tattoos.
Yeah, he always does that. Actually, Giancarlo Stanton leads the league in tattoos. He's tattooed more balls than anybody in baseball.
This guy.
Oh, my gosh.
He's some kind of player, isn't he?
Staggering.
2-0 pitch to Reynolds. I find it interesting. You look at Stanton, who is the prototypical cleanup hitter, right? I mean, hits for power. He'll drive in a bunch of runs. The Cardinals' #4 hitters, and it's been a rotation of players. With runners in scoring position, they have 1 home run this year. That's it. And batting .247, but yet they find different ways to generate offense.
Yeah, you look at how they win games, and as we said in the open, that fighting, scratching, clawing, finding a way to win. I know it's a term that you folks have heard in baseball forever and ever and ever, but Mike Matheny's troops do that, and everything centers around the pitching, and the pitching allows them to do that.
The 2-2 is a fly ball lifted into deep right center field, but backing up a few steps is Stanton for the out. 1 away. Swinging the bat at a much better clip is Jason Hayward. 348 his average in the month of June. That's 8th best in the league.
June is busting out all over for Jason.
What do you see with him? Anything different, or is it just he's
I don't know.
Getting it going?
A lot of times it's the stuff that you can't see that propels them. And that's in the mind.
Average has jumped from 251 to his current 278. Home run last night. The Cardinals with 9 home runs on this road trip. 0-1 pitch. Popped up. D. Gordon, 2 down.
That's an idea of how hard Latos is throwing. Just chewed up Hayward's bat. Not only breaking it, but shattering it. It's a sound that hitters hate. So do hands.
Sting a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Reverberates.
Here's Yadier Molina, riding an 8-game hitting streak into play tonight. And that's popped back and foul. You got Molina and Jay with pretty good numbers against this right-hander. Yadi 12 for 31 against Latos. And John Jay on deck 11 for 30. Here's the 0-1. In on the hands again of Molina.
The swing and misses are really no indication of how hard a pitcher is throwing necessarily, but foul balls off the other way is.
Oh-2 pitch. And goodbye. Molina, no argument. Second strikeout for Matt Latos. Could be a pitcher's duel here tonight in Miami.
On this riser, at least.
Oh, right. Toronto.
I think he finished. Off, and we turn things over to Jim Hayes. Jimmy.
Danny, you guys were talking about the swing of Jason Hayward. Some folks look at his swing of late and they say he seems to be swinging freer and easier. Jason Hayward agrees with that, and he says it's all about his timing finally returning. He says this is as good as he's felt at the plate all season. He said when you're not fighting your swing, you see pitches better, it's easier to react. Over his last 6 games, not counting tonight, Hayward 12 for 24 with 3 homers. Dan, he told me coaches can tell you what to do until they're blue in the face. He said timing is something you have to work out for yourself.
Stanton to center, and it's gone. A line drive rocket to dead center field. Are you kidding me? Wow. 27 home runs now for Giancarlo Stanton.
He is built like a sequoia and a seedling to center.
Garcia had gone 33 consecutive innings without allowing a home run until that blast by Stanton.
Shocking. And he does it with shocking regularity.
Yes. 27 home runs. That's 3 more than Bryce Harper for the National League lead. He's had 66 RBIs, now 67. And that's 9 ahead of the second place man in the National League, Nolan Arenado. So Stanton with 181 home runs now. You know, the amazing thing too, Tim, he's got 27 of their 61 home runs this year, so well
about
above
44% now,
exactly
right, of the team's home runs. Just otherworldly.
To put that in perspective, only 2 players since World War II have had at least 44% of their team's home runs in a season. This is chopped up the middle. Colton Wong makes the play. Nice pick by Reynolds. One of those players, Sam Chapman, 1946 Athletics. Mike Schmidt of the 1981 Phillies had 45%.
Well, the average salary in the United States is $44,800 for our working force a year. Giancarlo Stanton, with his new contract, is now making $42,735.04 per at bat.
Wow.
And that's the reason what he just did on one pitch.
JT Realmuto, the catcher, looks at a strike. He's batting .231. Does Stan remind you of anybody?
No. No.
Just a different class.
He is unto himself. He's not Aaron. He's not Mays. He's not Mark Whitten.
Hard hitting. Mark Whitten.
Hitting Whitten, who had 4 home runs against Cincinnati when he played for the Cardinals. He's not Mike Schmidt. He's not Mickey Mantle. He is unto himself. I've never seen anybody like him. Raw power. Most who's got more raw power in the history of the game than this man? We've never seen balls hit like that.
No.
On a day-to-day basis anywhere.
Think about this too. The fewest games to reach 180 career home runs. He's now at 181, and this is the shortstop, Adeiny Echeverria. It's a who's who in baseball. It took Stanton 705 at bats to get to that point, or games, excuse me. Ryan Howard, 588, was #1 on that list in baseball history. Ralph Kiner, Eddie Matthews, Albert Pujols, Stanton, then Killebrew. He's from Southern California. He was a great football player
and basketball player.
And we talked to him about football to baseball and why he picked this sport. He said his dad guided him to this direction because of concussions. He said, I just didn't want to see my son have the concussions. I mean, think about that. That's 8 to 10 years ago that he made that decision. So I said to him, where does your power come from? And he said, the one thing I equate football to baseball with, my base, my legs. And my power starts with my base. He said, obviously I'm a strong guy, but you got to have that good base in football, strong legs. And he said, I feel that that's something I work on a lot with baseball.
Yeah, that is certainly true in hitting. The foundation.
What a player. So 2 games, 2 home runs for Stanton.
Miami, by the way, will be in St. Louis August 14th, 15th, and 16th over the weekend.
And a base hit into center field. Echeverria is aboard and extends the inning to Donovan Solano, the third baseman for Miami. Cardinals had Donovan Solano in their minor league system, as these two teams share the same complex in Jupiter. They had a good long look at Solano. They liked him, and signed him as a minor league free agent. He made it as high as Memphis with the Cardinals, primarily was with Double-A Springfield, and now has found a home off the bench for the most part for Miami.
Yeah, only his 8th start of the year.
They do things a little differently here with Miami. They give out contracts over $300 million. They got a team after 1 year.
Managers with the general manager during the middle of the season.
And that's where I'm going with this one.
I know.
Dan Jennings, the GM, becomes the manager, the field manager. And so far, it's been about the same as when Mike Redmond was here. Redmond went 16-22. Jennings 14-20. The final day of the season a year ago, Redmond received a contract extension through 2017. So much for that.
I remember back in the early 70s, we had a change manager with Paul Owens, our general manager. In his first meeting, he said, "You cannot change the stripes on a leopard." We had to tell Paul that there were no stripes on leopard. There's spots.
Off to a good start, huh? Here's a ground ball to Garcia. He'll step and throw, and he makes the play. Giancarlo Stanton, home run number 27. A line drive over the wall in center. Ridiculous power. 1-0 Miami after 2. West is brought to you by Jack in the Box. If the Cardinals throw 9 strikeouts, get a free monster taco with any purchase tomorrow at Jack in the Box. 7, 8, and 9 in the lineup for St. Louis. Roof is closed. A warm, muggy night here in Miami. Ridiculous. Stanton wanted to see a commitment from ownership after they had gotten rid of a few players when he first arrived on the scene. Gutted the franchise to an extent. Some very good players. Then they went out. They bring in a new manager, spend a whole bunch of money, move into a new ballpark, and after 1 year, that's gutted.
2 to Toronto. Mark Burley and Jose Reyes.
And now they have signed some of that young talent, including himself, Stanton. Think about their outfield. Christian Yelich will come off the bench tonight. Marcell Ozuna. This is one of the better outfielders in the game today. Very good outfield. John Jay, hits it out of play.
It's hard to believe that Stanton is a good player on both sides of the ball. I mean, his arm is superb. He hits the cutoff man all the time. He's made some dazzling catches in right field, and you just simply don't find that out of a guy with his power.
2-2.
Good take by Jay.
I don't know about you. I wasn't sure, as you get a look at the take here by John Jay, just how he would come back after being hit by Mike Fiers last year. Hit in the jaw, season cut short. May have been the MVP if that didn't happen.
You and I were discussing it coming over today, coming over to the ballpark. And another thing that you have to realize is that after being hit last year, the Marlins signed him.
2-2 is lined to left, and Ichiro Suzuki
signed him with that big contract. And I thought it was a good move because the chances for a couple of years of teams coming inside are remote. So therefore, and you've got to pitch him inside to get him out. But because of the damage done to his face last year, I think teams are going to be reluctant to come inside, the same as Jason Heyward, even though we've seen teams come inside to Jason this year. But they haven't to Stanton. Not yet. But you've got to pitch him inside, like most power hitters.
Here's Randall Grichuk, go for his last 7. Speaking of Heyward, those two did talk about what to do after you have the jaw injury. Stanton telling us that the biggest thing was just eating. You know, you're going to be eating out of a cup. It's going to be soup.
Soup for a week.
Soup for a week. And then they talked about what type of protective gear do you want to have on the job. And so you see Heyward's is much different than Stanton, who designed his own face guard going through Shut Sports.
I didn't know that. That's great.
And if you look at the guard, it actually, Stanton was telling me, has a G on the front. So he did this on his own, but it has not affected him one bit. He said initially took a little bit to get used to. And in spring training, you get a couple of curveballs that start out at you and drop in, and you think about
buckle a little.
Yeah,
sure.
And he said once he got over that, business as usual. And with Stanton, you will not see him wear that, though, against left-handed pitching, only right-handers. Here's a 2-2 pitch to Randall Grichuk. Grichuk pulls it down the left field line, but foul. Good at bat by Randall Grichuk, who drew a walk last night. That's 6 walks and 127 at bats. And you and I have talked about it, Tim. That's one area you'd love to see improvement upon.
And that type of at bat is what the Cardinals are looking for. Not only Randall Grichuk, but John Mabry. Bill Miller also, the assistant hitting coach. Bunting situation here. Good bunter in Garcia.
Pulls back and takes a ball. There's Billy Miller on the left, a former batting champion. John Mabry on the right. A lot of long hours put in by those two.
Oh, boy.
Runner goes, hit to the right side and taken by Jeff Baker. So advancing on the play, Grichuk. And an RBI opportunity now for Colton Wong. Follow the Cardinals with MLB.com at bat, #1 app for live baseball, in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, and more. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet. Wong popped out his first time. Wong with a drive into deep right. That baby is out of here. Colton Wong, home run number 9, and the Cardinals go on top. It's 2-1 St. Louis.
We have talked about how Colton Wong holds his hands low, which makes it tough for him to get to a high fastball. The first time up tonight, Latos overpowered Colton with a fastball up, but not here. Boy, did he crush that ball over the head of Giancarlo Stanton.
So 9 home runs. He's up to 32 driven in. That pitch taken low by Matt Carpenter. Not far-fetched to say that Wong could be a 20-25 home run guy.
Oh, absolutely. I think he could be a 30-30 guy eventually.
So it begs the question, is he better off in a leadoff spot or more an RBI position?
No, leadoff spot.
You like him there?
That's his hole. That's the way I look at it.
Was there an awful lot in the minor leagues too? He's accustomed to that position.
Unless you utilize his speed, you don't waste his power.
1-2 the count on Matt Carpenter. Struck out back in the first.
If you move a guy like Colton Wong to the 3rd or 5th spot, then he thinks he has to be a home run hitter. Then becomes something that he's not, in my view. At least right now. I mean, he's still a baby.
And a fly ball lifted into left center field. Marcell Ozuna with good speed makes the catch. A 2-out, 2-run homer by Colton Wong. One swing of the bat. St. Louis on top. It's 2-1. Cardinals and Cubs coverage begins at 6 on Fox, streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
I just thought of something you said earlier, that the Cardinals with only 1 home run with runners in scoring position this year, now they have 2.
That was from the cleanup position too.
From the cleanup position.
Yeah. But in general, that has been the case.
Yeah, right. across the board.
Yes.
Right.
Here's Matt Latos in the bottom of the third. It'll be Latos, Gordon, and Ichiro Suzuki. Real key, if you look back to the top of this third inning, was the walk by Grichuk. First time in his career now that he's had back-to-back games with a walk. That gives you an idea. He doesn't walk very often.
That was a big walk, and then Garcia moving him to second. First pitch fastball from Latos. Boom by Wong.
One ball, one strike on Matt Latos. The Cardinals leading by the score of 2-1.
It's not exaggerating the point. When in the minor leagues, pitchers learn that when you walk a guy, he scores. Tell them all, ingrain it, and repeat it over and over and over again. You walk a hitter, he scores.
Opens up big innings.
Oh, everything. You walk a hitter, he scores.
Latos, by the way, 4 for 11 with an RBI this year. The 2-2 pitch puts it in play. It's another ground ball. Garcia off the mound, steps and throws a strike to Reynolds. That's 6 ground ball outs, first time through the lineup for Jaime Garcia. You know, D. Gordon had a great first half last year, terrible second half. For the better part of this season, he has hit 400. Grounded to first his first time up. It's now at 352. He's got a 373 on base percentage, but does not draw a lot of walks.
He has 7 bunt base hits, 26 infield hits. That leads the major leagues in both categories. I have a lot of respect for D. He's made himself a major league hitter. I didn't think he had a chance when he first came up. They were knocking the bat out of his hands.
Here's a 1 pitch to Gordon. Base hit. Left field as he slaps it the other way. You got a fun matchup here with D. Gordon, who is second in the league in steals with 24, and one of the best behind the plate in Yadier Molina.
To the point where they rarely try to steal. But that's what's made D. Gordon the type hitter he is. Those ground balls through on the left side.
Billy Hamilton leads the National League with 33 steals. And it brings in Ichiro. Great bat control with the #2 hitter. You could do some things here with the speed of Gordon and Ichiro at the plate.
Ichiro, a good 2-strike hitter too, so he can afford to take one as he did there.
Have you had the chance to visit much with Ichiro?
No, I haven't. Not this trip. Not today.
Did a little bit in spring training. He understands English fairly well.
Oh yeah. Very, very smart guy.
And a strike, 0-2. Grounded to third, his first time up. Outfield shallow in center field and in left as Grichuk is near the line. And a big gap in right center. Oh-2 pitch, and he may have picked him off. Very close at first.
I think Gordon had him, or Garcia had him, because D looked like he was running. But Garcia didn't follow up and throw a strike down. You can see Gordon, of course, diving to the back part of the bag. Reynolds tag not in time. That pickoff throw was down. I think they get it.
0-2 is slapped foul.
Double in a round park. I don't blame you guys. Get them out of here. Let's go. Watch that game with him hitting through the screen.
Had him leaning again. D. Gordon, the son of Tom Gordon, who pitched 21 years in the big leagues.
Flash
Gordon. He was good too.
Yes, sir. Could start, could relieve. Give me the ball. Never denied the ball.
Here's an 0-2 pitch. You talk about D. Gordon improving as a hitter and really as a baseball player as a whole. He was saying during spring training that he did not play a lot of baseball in the summer because he was always traveling with his dad, who was in the major leagues. So he was a basketball player, loved to play basketball. That was his primary sport. And then got turned on to baseball in high school, so kind of a late bloomer, but obviously a very good player. And there he goes. Cardinals pitch out, guess right, throw to second, and save.
They guessed right, but the pitch was not a pitch out. The pitch out was too close to the plate. Had he thrown it and centered it with Molina, then Molina has a chance to make the throw. But because Yachty had to reach back to his right, doesn't work. Watch. To the right. And now the throw's going to be late, caused by the pitch out, not Molina's throw to second.
So 25 steals now for D. Gordon. He's been caught 9 times. Good pitch. Garcia gets the strikeout of Ichiro. Second strikeout.
Breaking ball out of the strike zone. Normally a very patient hitter, but Garcia got the best of Ichiro in that at bat.
So here is Jeff Baker. Called out on strikes back in the first.
Wouldn't it be fun to hit in front of Giancarlo Stanton in a situation like this? You know a pitcher's not intentionally pitching around you.
And we were talking before the game, if you're the opposition, in this case you're the Cardinals, not many times would you want to pitch to Stanton. I mean, there's not a ton of protection behind him in this lineup.
Right. And I countered with leading off the inning. No, I'd pitch to him. Well, you see what happened when I say leading off the inning, first pitch, a bomb to center.
Michael Morse, they signed him in the offseason. He was with the world champion Giants last year. He's 6 games into a rehab assignment. They expect him back potentially by the weekend. Little squibber to the right side. Reynolds to Garcia at the bag.
Good play by Garcia, who broke the wrong way to begin with and then recovered to get his man.
Johnny Peralta and Colton Wong?
Well, it's the way they start their at bats. Look at the positions of the hands of Johnny Peralta to the left. They're about 1.5 feet higher than Colton Wong's. I think eventually Colton Wong's going to have to lift his hands above the high strike in order to be a good major league hitter, because when you get older, you're not going to be that good and that quick on the ball upstairs. But tonight, a great example of just how quickly he can overcome, in my opinion, a bad start with the bat down. He got jammed the first time up and popped it up, and then the second time up, a 2-run home run. But that's interesting, and you'd never, and that split screen really showed the difference between the hands held high of Peralta and held low by Wong.
Peralta lined out his first time up. Is it a case, though, Tim, that when you look at all these hitters, let's say we continued with a swing, are they all going to get back into that position to load, and then, so it doesn't really matter to an extent where you start, but going back, load,
the
and then
problem is
explode.
coming up. The problem is with the major league fastball, you're not going to have the time to get the hands above the ball, and that's what you have to do to be a good hitter, or to hit the high fastball. You've got too much to do. Not only are Colton's hands low now, but he's got a little curl in the bat, so you have to straighten out the curl and lift the hands. That's a lot to do before the ball's in the hitting area.
0-2 pitch, hit left side. Echeverria stumbled. Look at that play. I know there's a great shortstop with the Atlanta Braves, and arguably the best with the glove in the game, but this guy is not far behind him. He is some kind of player.
Jose Iglesias of the Detroit Tigers, also a very good shortstop, but the athleticism for Echeverria. A lot of Marlins pitchers are very happy he's manning that position.
You mentioned earlier the Toronto deal. He came over from Toronto in that big deal. So young shortstop, didn't know much about him, and now an everyday shortstop here with Miami. He's a good one. Mark Reynolds fly to right, first time up. We saw last night Xavier Scruggs with 3 hits. As Reynolds was at third and Scruggs was at first base. And quickly 2 outs.
We've spoken many times about how pitching is contagious. Hitting's contagious too. Mark Reynolds with a game-winning hit last night, even though of the infield variety. That's why he's starting at first tonight. Even though Xavier Scruggs got 3 hits in last night's game, one a key double that drove in 2 runs.
Mark with that RBI, that hit, it was a terrific at bat. Fell behind 2 strikes, then laid off some very good sliders, stayed alive, and then picked up the hit and the RBI. As Hayward is 0 for 2. Easy inning for Matt Latos.
Who's coming up?
Uh-oh. Jaime Garcia already with a home run tonight. AT&T U-verse rewind. This made it 1-0 Marlins. A line shot into center field. Cardinals, though, come back is Colton Wong with a home run to make it 2-1. AT&T U-verse rewind. Interesting note here. The Marlins have played in 36 games this season at home. Stanton with 13 home runs. All visiting opponents a total of 17.
Good changeup from Garcia.
Stand here, then Ozuna, then Real Muto. There's a strike. Stan didn't like it because Molina had to reach for it, but it looks like a strike.
I think so.
The 0-2.
Too good a pitch. You're flirting with danger that far out over the plate. If you miss with that fastball, you have to miss inside.
To the count. What caught Molina, so the home plate umpire giving him a chance to catch his breath. Home plate umpire tonight, Trip Gibson. Mark Carlson is at first. Brian Gorman, the crew chief, at second. Adam Hamare is down at third.
A lot of people talking about Yadier Molina's power. One of the reasons his lack of power, that continuing the pounding of the hands, twisting of the thumbs.
And you're talking about just simply the gripping of the bat.
Yeah,
and the little things that you take for granted.
You just don't have the power with that upper hand in particular, and that's why Yadi's hitting so many balls the other way. The better your pitching staff, the tougher it is on the hands of the catcher.
And Garcia picks up the strikeout, number 3 tonight.
So we're tied right now, you and I, right? We're tied at 1 apiece. I said you got to pitch to Stanton if he's leading off an inning. Dan said no you don't. So he's homered tonight and struck out. So we're even.
We're even. I got it.
The rubber match the next time up.
I'm scared already. He is fun to watch, though.
Oh, he really is. I mean, that's terrifying power.
Mm-hmm. Ozuna with a ground ball to third. And there's 2 down. Marcell Ozuna is 0 for 2. A couple of ground outs. And it brings in the catcher, Real Muto. I'm going to throw something at you, too. They were talking about a couple of years ago the average velocity coming out of the bullpen for the Cardinals, which included Segrist, Trevor Rosenthal. There were some hard throwers. Mm-hmm. How much does that affect the hand of a catcher, or is it more the movement when you're talking about the late movement?
It's more the movement. The movement more the movement to get the hitter out, and it's more the movement that affects the catcher's hands.
Okay.
And velocity too. Most of it, with fastballs in particular, depends on how heavy the pitch is, how a pitcher will release the ball. For instance, a 98-mile-an-hour fastball across seamer is a feather to catch normally. But that sinker, 4 miles an hour slower, just eats your hand alive.
Late movement, catches the thumb.
Right. The late movements, obviously one of the reasons a pitcher may be difficult to hit. The late movement is also something that tears the catcher's hands up because he can't predict the movement of the ball.
Sure.
He doesn't catch the ball cleanly.
2-0 is pulled foul. 2 balls and 1 strike. I'm seeing something for the first time this year, and I can't believe it. A ground ball pulled foul, and the ball is still in play. Carpenter threw it to Garcia, didn't throw it out, and it wasn't requested to be changed.
That's a good one.
You never see that anymore.
Never.
I can't believe it. 3-1. to left. There's Randall Grichuk on a line drive, and he makes the catch, moving slightly to his left. We played 4. Two to 1 Cardinals. St. Louis will have Yadier Molina, John Jay, and Randall Grichuk. Matt Latos has made 12 career starts prior to this start against St. Louis. 5-5. ERA is near 6, but 4-1 in his last 6 against the Cardinals while pitching with the Cincinnati Reds. Here's an 0-1 pitch to Molina. Struck out looking, his first time up. Fan of this ballpark? What do you think?
Love it.
Do you really?
Yes. It's quirky, different, contemporary, and I'm a big Red Grooms fan. Red Grooms was the guy in left center field who had the famous dolphin in the scoreboard. It's gone around once tonight, diving into a playful ocean out there.
It's one way to put it. Let's check in with Jim Hayes. Jimmy, what do you have for us?
Well, Danny, Lance Lynn had 2 words to describe his feelings about being on the DL. Quote, hated it. The good news for Lance, he returns to the starting rotation tomorrow. He told me the forearm strain that put him on the DL is no longer an issue. He told me the discomfort had subsided even before he joined the team in Philadelphia 6 days ago. He says there may be a bit of an adjustment tomorrow since he's missed a couple of starts. He says he doesn't anticipate that. But, Dan, you never know until you're out there. That's Lance Lynn.
Oh, what a play by D. Gordon, robbing John Jay.
Well, you talked about his basketball skills
there
earlier.
Go.
Good timing right there.
Great
nice
play.
Great play. They are so athletic.
So 2 outs, nobody on. Here's Randall Grichuk. Outfield is deep and straight away. Cardinals with a lead of 2-1. And Grichuk hits a high fly ball into deep left center field. Ozuna with room. many ballparks, that's out. Hotel. Choose from one of our Cardinals baseball packages. Score for your team. Head to HiltonSt. Louis.com or call 314-421-1776. 12 of 15 first pitch strikes tonight for Jaime Garcia. And through 4 innings, 8 ground ball outs to go along with 3 strikeouts. It's been his MO this year, a lot of ground ball outs.
His 7th start, every start has been top notch.
Yep. A 2-1 St. Louis lead. That pitch in the dirt. 7, 8, and 9 for Miami.
I will guarantee you the Cardinals, Jaime Garcia, anybody in baseball never expected as perfect as Jaime has been through his 7 starts this year.
Maybe Garcia himself.
Yeah, that's right.
Another ground ball out. Peralta makes the play. Tuesday, June 30th, continue the celebration of the 1980s Cardinals teams. That night, 25,000 fans, 16 and older, take home a replica of the 1982 World Series trophy. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
I think your interview with Jaime before his first start back was very revealing without even knowing it. When he said he missed pitching in the major leagues, he's been out for a year. He missed the game, he missed the mound, he missed the competition. And boy, has that ever, you know, sometimes those interviews don't pan out like that.
And he said, at times you find yourself, when you're healthy, taking it all for granted. And when it's taken away, you realize how much you miss it.
Sure.
And it makes all the sense in the world.
It certainly does.
And he's motivated. Let's face it, Tim. I mean, here's a guy, not only is he healthy by all accounts, but the Cardinals hold 2 options coming up with him. You know, potential free agency.
Right.
Make
so
that
there's
decision.
motivation all the way around.
You bet. And it's kind of like Jason Hayward. As well as he plays, it's good for him financially, contracts, and it's good for the Cardinals.
Remember that Broadway play? Money, 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 money.
It's part of the game today.
It is. Is that from Fiddler?
You got me. You're the Renaissance man.
Money, 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 money.
Here's a 1-2 pitch.
Well, let's face it. I mean, you know, these are professional baseball players. They make their living over a very short period of time. great motivator. Dinero.
Curveball, another ground ball. Tough play here for Carpenter. Quickly out of the glove for out number 2. Join Fox Sports Midwest at Ballpark Village for the World Cup watch parties. Cheer on Team USA Friday when they take on China in the quarterfinals. We'll be at Ballpark Village. Games, mascots, giveaways. World Cup watch party starts Friday at 5:30 with a game from Ottawa at 6:30. St. Louis, by the way, #1 in ratings in the United States for the Women's World Cup. The pitch taken high by Matt Latos.
Always on the ball. Max Leinwein says it was not Fiddler on the Roof, from which money came, but Cabaret. Welcome. Willkommen.
You and Max, a couple of Renaissance men.
Joel Gray, come on. I mean, talking about Broadway.
I'm with you.
Danny boy.
I'm with you. I question some things in your life, but not many.
That's on the air. You don't question many. Off the air, you question almost everything.
Well, that's a little different.
Just trying to care for me, right? Somebody's got to.
No, sir. Here's a 1-2 pitch. And a called third strike. 4 strikeouts. Take it to break. Go.
Welcome. Welcome.
Keep it going. The BJC Healthcare difference maker since 1993. A look at the two teams and what they've been able to do. Have to give the Marlins credit when they've decided to gut a franchise. Boy, they get good players in return.
In a hurry.
In a hurry is right.
Wayne Huizenga, the owner of the Marlins back in 1998, after the 1997 World Series, took him about 6 months to get rid of about 10 players. And the same with Jeffrey Loria, the owner now of the Miami Marlins. In 2004, after their defeat of the Yankees, Josh Beckett, the most valuable player, beating the Yankees, I think 2-0, wasn't it, in that Game 5 in New York. And that's Jeffrey Loria's collection of bobbleheads. I think it's the largest in the country, right?
It is, yes. They've got the fish tank right where Colton Wong is getting loose on deck. That's a unique feature to this ballpark.
That's why I like the ballpark. I do. I mean, it's got many elements. It's not traditional, but it's, you know, it fits into this community in such fine fashion. The Orange Bowl used to be situated here.
I did the last game ever at the Orange Bowl.
Did you really?
Broadcast there, doing a high school all-star football game, of all things.
In like 81 or 82?
Oh, like no, way past
really?
that. Yeah. Jerry Rice was a coach on one of the teams. Oh, yeah.
I was thinking of the '79 Super Bowl, the last Super Bowl played at the Orange Bowl. That was a famous 35-31 win. Terry Bradshaw, another MVP, the famous catch by Lynn Swann. Matter of fact, at one of the local watering holes, the old Orange Bowl bar nearby, no longer there, Jack Whitaker was doing an opening, and Greg Luzinski, Steve Carlton, Ron Reed, and about 7 other Philadelphia Phillies, including Joe Torre, who's not with the Phillies, and Frank Torre, his brother.
Wong pops it up into shallow left. There's Ichiro.
We served as the human chain for Jack Whitaker to get his opening on.
Really?
And yeah, to keep the crowd away. We did our jobs, and so did Jack.
Carlton, big man, strong. You had the bull.
I was one of the smallest guys there.
Wow.
Fun days.
What's on tap? Brought to you by Budweiser with Lance Lynn and a former Cardinal, Dan Herron. Dan Herron was traded for Mark Mulder. And Mulder came over to St. Louis. First year, pitched well, probably should have been a 20-game winner. And then ran into arm issues, and Dan Herron turned out to be a spectacular pitcher for a number of years.
Really did.
Carpenter is hitless tonight. He's 0 for 2. Latos has been making quick work of the Cardinals tonight. 4 pitches or fewer to the last 11 hitters.
Good changeup to Carpenter.
0-2 the count. Total of 60 pitches. That's it for Latos. First time through the lineup, 1 ground out. Second time through, 5 ground outs. 0-2 pitch. But this far, the key in the game, a Randall Grichuk walk and then a 2-run homer by Colton Wong with 2 outs in the top of the 3rd.
JT Realmuto took a solid pop in the mask then. Those are looked upon with more concern than ever now with what the sports world knows about concussions.
So much so that MLB has instituted that 7-day disabled list for concussions. And there's an actual protocol now for players to go through to make sure that they are not suffering from a concussion and going out there and playing haphazardly.
Yeah, the 7-day disabled list is less than half the normal 15-day disabled list, of course. Gives you a little less time, but it does give you time to clear your thinking, whatever went awry.
I just think it takes pressure off teams,
right,
and the player feeling like, okay, I've got to get back out there. You know, leeway of 7 days is a lot different than 2 weeks.
Right.
When you're talking about missing half a month with a top-notch player, that's a lot. First 19 years of their franchise. There's a look at Jose Fernandez. The Marlins played at Sun Life Stadium. In 2012, they opened up this ballpark against the Cardinals after St. Louis had won the World Series in 11. Here's a 1-2 pitch. And a fly ball lifted into shallow right center field. Who wants it? It'll be Stanton coming on. And he makes the catch. We're midway through 6. Cardinals on top. Edward Jones pleased to sponsor this quartet of Ted Simmons, Bob Forsch, Kurt Flood, and George Kissel. You'll be able to take part in that, brought to you by Edward Jones in early August at Ballpark Village. There's a look at Jose Fernandez. He'll be back July 2nd for the Marlins.
Pitches this Saturday in Jacksonville, the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. I talked with Jose before the game. He was hitting, and obviously, like all pitchers, proud of their hitting. He's a pretty good hitter.
Pretty good athlete.
Yeah, pretty good athlete and a great pitcher.
Here's a ground ball hit to the right side, picked up by Wong. D. Gordon retired. That's 9 straight set down by Garcia. Jose Fernandez, it's just good for the game to get him back too.
I told him the same thing. I told him that is the general feeling of almost anybody connected with the game. Just get back.
This is why they hold out hope here in Miami. And again, it's still very early in the season, not even at the All-Star break, but they're going to get 3 very talented pitchers back
with more than 3 months to play.
Here's Ichiro, who's 0 for 2. So Garcia has set down 9 straight, Latos 10 straight. A total of 4 hits in this game. 3 for the Marlins, 1 for St. Louis. He pitched in spring training, speaking of Jose Fernandez, last year against the Cardinals. And as you know, Tim, guys will finish up. They go 5 innings, 6 innings, especially before their final tune-up or 2 before the regular season. And then they'll head down to the clubhouse, which is down for the Marlins, the left field line. He was done in the 4th or 5th inning and signed autographs up until the 9th for everybody that wanted an autograph. Took a picture, smiled. That is why he's good for the game.
He gets it.
Yes. He's selling the game.
Yep.
Tremendous story, defecting from Cuba and becoming such an electrifying pitcher. They say his stuff is back to where it was prior to the injury, too.
Tommy John surgery.
It seems like it's not a matter of if, it's just when anymore. If you're in the game long enough. 2-2 the count on Ichiro. He stays on turn. We would see Fernandez in St. Louis, which would be the 2nd game of that series that you spoke of earlier.
The 15th of August, I believe. Yeah, 15.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Slap towards third. And it's a fair ball, ruled that it hit the ground, and then Carpenter had to complete the play, and Ichiro had stopped running as well down the first base line.
Yeah, don't umpire, run.
2015 FIFA Women's World Cup continues with the quarterfinals as China squares off against Alex Morgan at Team USA. A win or go home matchup for both teams. Coverage begins at 6 on your local Fox station.
You know, that look by Matt Carpenter, watch him look over his right shoulder, right there. He wasn't, no, I beg your pardon, he didn't look, but there was a reticence right there, and that caused Ichiro to quit running.
Sure did.
And it would have been a lot closer play had he run hard all the way, obviously.
There's Jeff Baker, who's 0 for 2. Baker has struck out looking and grounded out.
Key guy here.
And again, because of the man on deck, that's Stanton, and he'll lead it off in the bottom of the 7th, and Jaime Garcia is cruising. 11 in a row for the Cards lefty. Donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And the Cardinals, well, Johnny Peralta, Mark Reynolds, and Jason Hayward due up. Latos 10 in a row. Garcia 11 in a row. We thought this could be a pitcher's duel, and that's exactly what we have.
2 base runners for the Cardinals. The only 2 runs that have scored. 2 base runners. A walk to Grichuk with 1 out in the 3rd, and the 2-run shot by Colton Wong.
And the first pitch to Peralta. I don't know if you saw this, Tim, but we were talking about the Cardinals Hall of Fame induction class, which includes Curt Flood this year. Curt Flood will be honored in Cooperstown the day before the induction ceremony.
I did not know that. That's fabulous. Love it.
You can speak to this much more than myself or many that are watching tonight, but what a fabulous defender he was, huh?
Against the wall, he was as good as anybody. Mays was the best player I've ever seen, best defensive player. But against the wall, Curt could catch a fly ball with anybody. Made a play in the vines at Wrigley one day, using the vines to catapult him up, and at that time there was no basket overlapping the field, and Curt used the vines to climb up and rob someone of a home run. Obviously a Cub player, but the rivalry between the Cubs and the Cardinals in the 60s was bitter. It's not bitter now. It's not bitter. It was then.
I think it's got a chance to get there with the Cubs improving
absolutely.
again.
Absolutely.
And I think when you look back to when the Cubs had Pryor and Wood and Dusty Baker, with Tony La Russa having some good teams, those were some fun.
Fun, but not.
There's a base hit.
Not as bitter as the 60s, that I recount.
I don't recall a player using the vines at Wrigley Field and going up and making a catch.
Yeah, that was something. Yeah,
I mean,
it was the best play against the wall I ever saw.
I see a lot of guys get tippy-toed around that wall for obvious reasons. Or they can't find a ball in the vines, or go up against the vines but very softly. The one that comes to mind is So Taguchi, of all people. Made a tremendous catch at Wrigley Field. One of the best I had seen out there. And a ball to Reynolds. First hit for the Cardinals since Colton Wong's 2-run homer back in the 3rd. Peralta 1 for 3. Reynolds is 0 for 2. Going back to the at bat that Reynolds had last night. He falls behind with 2 strikes. He's in the hole. And you'll see a lot of teams, as we've noticed, Tim, they look at the outer half with that slider. He'll chase that
with that
pitch.
open stance. We talked about it. Away, 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 away. You can't do that when you're behind in the count, as Latos is here.
And he did a very good job laying off 2 out of 3 sliders that were tremendous pitches. But just the game within the game, thinking about the at bat and how they're trying to get you out.
Sure.
3-0. Latos only at 74 pitches, 3 balls, no strikes. And it's a walk. Second walk issued by the right-hander. Celebrate the 4th of July at the ballpark. Watch the Cardinals take on the Padres Saturday, July 4th. 25,000 fans ages 16 and older receive a one-of-a-kind camouflage print Cardinals jersey courtesy of Ford. Tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
A visit to Matt Latos by Chuck Hernandez, the pitching coach. Not even a thought of a bunt here, with the guy having too many things for Latos. You got a hot hitter in Hayward, 4 straight balls to Reynolds, a right-handed pitcher struggling to get the ball in the strike zone all of a sudden. I mean, to me, this calls for an early in the count, look for a pitch to hit and hammer it. When pitchers miss the strike zone, they're more concerned, obviously, with the middle part of the plate. That's when you strike.
Let's see if that happens here. Hayward is 0 for 2. He's grounded out and popped out. Outfield is deep and straight away. First pitch to Jason Hayward in the dirt. Good lefty is Mike Dunn, and he's getting loose in the pen for Miami. Five straight balls. Hayward jumps on that pitch into deep right. Stanton is back, and it is gone! 3-run homer! Tim said he may groove one. He did, and Hayward launched that baby. And the Cardinals have opened up a 5-1 lead.
Hayward busting out all over after 5 straight balls from Latos. You know you're going to get the heat. He turned it up a notch. Probably the biggest hit that Hayward's had for the Cardinals this year, arguably.
Jason Hayward just helped the Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Well, you're right. 5 straight balls. He's got to come to him, and he did. Catch made in center by Ozuna off the bat of Molina for the first out.
Right around the letters. Not for long.
Nice call, partner.
Well,
oh, well,
you know, come on.
Come on. It was.
Oh. My job, man.
Hey. Giving you credit.
Well, I mean, you know, it's a great hitting situation for a major league hitter who's hot in the month of June. You talked about it before his first at bat, looking for that fastball somewhere around the strike zone, fat part of the plate. He got it and produced.
He's now up to 9 home runs, 27 RBIs. Yeah, that pitch was up. So he's describing there, it looks like, to John Lackey, and he whacked it into right.
Hitters who hit home runs love to talk to pitchers after they do it. If it was a fielder's choice, he would not be talking to a pitcher.
There's Garcia behind him. Remember, Garcia has not seen much run support at all. 3rd lowest run support coming into play tonight.
Yeah.
And that's in all of Major League Baseball. Ground ball hit to short, taken there by Echeverria. So 2 outs, and it brings in Randall Grichuk.
All the damage done with a solo home run, a 2-run shot, and a 3-run shot tonight.
We talked about walks earlier. Both walks have come around to score as well.
They always do. I mean, they don't, but you've got to make pitchers believe that they do.
Mm-hmm. What a frustrating night this must be for Latos. He's really pitched well. He's given up 3 hits.
Yes, he has.
But the 2 walks have come around to score, and 2 of the 3 hits have been home runs. .1-0 pitch to Grichuk. A low strike. And a fly ball lifted into right field. Long way to go for Stanton near the line, and it drops in. They're playing Grichuk to pull, so a long way to go for Stanton.
They're playing him to pull, plus they're playing him deep to the right side. Stanton too far to go to get that ball.
So a new life for Randal Grichuk. And the 1-2 pitch. So Latos gets the strikeout, his third tonight, but the Cardinals have opened up a 5-1 lead. One swing of the bat, a 3-run homer, Jason Hayward. Consecutive games with home runs. The T-Mobile Game Changers. Speaking of home runs, how about Giancarlo Stanton compared to Albert Pujols through their first 705 career games? Not bad. And Pujols has been on a tear as of late for the Angels.
23 home runs now, right, for Albert?
So here's Stanton, homered back in the second inning. It's a line shot into right. Hayward looks up, and it's off the top of the wall for a long single.
Excuse me, Dan. Something stopped it.
And he's back into the bag at first safely. I mean, what a rocket off his bat.
A mountain stopped it.
Put a hole in that fencing.
That's just ridiculous to hit a ball that hard. I'll tell you what, there is major concern on my part that Giancarlo Stanton will hit a ball too hard to defend by a pitcher.
I was thinking that earlier. Watching the home run that he hit to center. What if that ball is 10 to 15 feet lower, going right back at Garcia?
Yeah.
Thinking the exact same thing.
Giancarlo Stanton is the best example, in my opinion, for pitchers, even if it might be grandfathered in, but to wear protective helmets. There would be no protection whatsoever. None.
And we're talking about where you're pitching him, which is middle to outer half, and a lot of times hitters with those types of pitches take them right back up the middle.
That's right. You're trained to do that.
First hit allowed by Garcia since back in the third. Snaps a string of 12, or rather 11 straight, I beg your pardon, that he set down.
So you think about the pitches to Stanton tonight. First pitch fastball home run over the center field fence. Next time he faced 6 pitches. 5 were off-speed pitches. Got him on the changeup, and that was a changeup to which he adjusted. So the guy's not only strong, he's smart.
2-0 pitch, and it's 2-1 on Marcell Ozuna. Ozuna 3 hits with a double last night, 2 groundouts this evening.
Can you imagine if Giancarlo Stanton played for the Yankees now? What kind of star he would be?
Just thinking that too.
He'd be
seriously
Mantle-ish.
Unbelievable how he'd be treated in that town. He's hitting for power. He's young. He's great with the media.
Terrific guy. Not a whim of pomposity at all.
And think about the ballpark then, and I'm not sure it really matters with Stanton. The ballpark, a hitter's park to a home run park.
Yosemite wouldn't matter.
Right. But that ball that he just hit is probably out of Yankee Stadium.
Oh, easy.
You know, so you think about it in those terms. There's a line shot out to left, and Grichuk makes the catch. If you think about Sun Life Stadium, that wasn't a small ballpark either.
No, not to left field.
The high wall out there.
Right, right.
Real Muto is grounded back to Garcia, and he's also lined out to left. 13 ground ball outs for Jaime Garcia tonight. Garcia in his first start walked 5, but then the double play because of the ground balls was effective against the Mets. That was the game he was matched up with Jacob deGrom, who was sensational that afternoon at Citi Field.
Allowing 1 base runner in 7 2/3 no 8 innings.
Went 8.
Yeah.
We thought, I think it was a 5-pitch 8th inning.
5-pitch 8th inning.
We were wondering if he'd come back for the 9th, and he did not.
Mets, by the way, the first team back 3-game series against the Cardinals after the All-Star break.
The pitching should be lined up. There's a base hit into right field. Stanton will stop in second with a throwing arm of Hayward. Runners at first and second. Then it brings in Adeiny Hechavarria, who's 1 for 2. That's 3 hard hit balls against Garcia to start this 7th inning.
Any pitcher with any experience realizes that the catcher is convening on the mound to give the bullpen a chance to get warm. It's a very difficult thing under these circumstances to have a meeting, because anybody who's been around for a while understands that that's why he's out there.
Randy Choate is now up in the Cardinals pen. If Hechavarria here, then Solano, both hit from the right side. 3 good hitters off the bench from the left side for the Marlins. Justin Bour, who's a power hitter. Derek Dietrich just called back up from the minor leagues, and Christian Yelich, more than likely back in the starting lineup tomorrow with a right-hander, Lance Lynn, on the mound. So you can understand why the lefty would be up, and even with those pinch hitters we talk about, then you have Gordon and Suzuki coming up from the left side as well. Here's an 0-1 pitch. Hechavarria sends a fly ball into center. John Jay makes the catch for out number 2. He went down to get this. Watch. Tim, we were talking about what Garcia has meant to the Cardinals. I'm sure not many, if any, anticipated what he has given St. Louis, but every 5th day it's a chance to win, but it's just stabilized everything with the Cardinals. With all the injuries, Lynn, Wainwright, I mean, you can count on him right now every 5th day to give you a good outing.
Yeah, it's not just he's not just filling a spot.
No.
He's permanently filling spot like he did before his injury.
Carlos Martinez, after a rough initial couple of innings last night, settled in, was terrific again.
Boy, I saw the welts on his right shoulder, right on the tip. The seams are still there.
Yes.
Not the commissioner's signature, but enough. Hit him hard, hit by a pitch, and that was a pivotal play for the Cardinals to score that run in the 8th inning last night.
2 hit batters, and then the pitcher got hit himself with the comebacker from Mark Reynolds. Brad Hand is throwing in the pen for Miami. Garcia, you can see he's tiring just a little bit here.
Yeah, he is.
1-1 pitch. One pitch. Hit out of play. Groundouts tonight, 4 strikeouts for Garcia. Molina again out to visit. More visits to the mound than ever before. I'm serious about this question. You ready for it?
I don't know. I haven't been asked it yet.
What would Gibson have done in this spot?
I mean, you've gone out there. Want to go out there? Go out there yourself, Red.
Is that what he's saying? I mean, he would put up
Red
with this.
would put that on, but no. Red would never put that on Gibson. You just don't go out there.
Period.
Put the sign down. Let's go.
All she wrote.
That's correct.
The 2-2. Ground ball to Garcia. 14 ground ball outs tonight. Marlins strand 2. They've left 4 on. We head to the 8th. 5-1 St. Louis. Baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. We go to our studio. Scott Warman standing by with a Bommarito Sports Update. All right, thank you. The Mazda game summary, 5-1, St. Louis leading Miami. Garcia 7 innings. Hayward is 1 for 3 with a key home run. Lato 7 innings, and now he'll turn it over to Brad Hand, our Chevy called to the pen. Dietrich, by the way, is into the ball game. He's at third base, and he'll bat ninth for the Marlins.
You know, we saw Mike Matheny talking to Garcia, and we assumed that Garcia was out of the game, but evidently he's not. Obviously he's hitting here.
Maybe he talked himself back into one more inning. We did notice some of the pitches up last inning, and you know, running out of gas maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the, in this day and age, are you kidding?
Matt Latos gives up 5 runs tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to admit this is an atypical situation for Mike Matheny and the Cardinals, allowing Garcia to hit. Of course, he's got a 4-run lead, but.
Well, that's why.
Oh, okay.
Made all the sense in the world.
I mean, you're going to get a hanging breaking ball, so go up and hit it to right field. He can hit now, as he just showed.
But the Cardinals are trying to be very careful with the innings, and it's more about the high stress innings of Walker, Martinez, and certainly Garcia.
Well,
that's why you think about not hitting him and taking him out. And I'm with you on this one. Uh-huh. Wait a minute, that's where you were going with it, huh?
Well, yeah.
So wait a minute. Okay, now I got it. There's a base hit for Wong into right field. Garcia will stop at second.
Now the reason he'll be removed from the game is because he's running the bases.
And as funny as that sounds, that's something that Mike Matheny is thinking about.
I know he is. Mike, it's funny. I mean, there are just some things, circumstances during games. It's comical. And this is one of those where if Garcia ends up scoring or has to slide it home or goes in, you know, on a single that he outfield, do you try to score him? If you're Jose Aquindo, he's got a 4-run lead.
So 2 on, nobody out here for Carpenter. Hitless tonight. That pitch taken low.
What would really be funny if he gets to third with less than 2 outs and then Mike pinch runs for him.
Peter Borges comes in. It is a very warm, muggy night.
It is. Well, it's Miami, man.
Oh, but the roof is closed. It's supposed to be pleasant in here, Tim.
That's true.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a beautiful, what, 74, 75 degrees, and it's about 97. And everybody's sweating a lot, including Max Linewand up here in the booth.
Max is sweating for a different reason now.
2-1 the count. I mean, if you're going to pinch hit, it would have been Xavier Scruggs.
Sure. Peter Borges, Cosma, Cruz. But Scruggs would have been the logical choice, particularly left-handed. Double switch made by the Marlins.
2-1 the count. Three and 1. Inning started with a base hit by Garcia to right. Colton Wong with a base hit. Now a 3-1 pitch to Carpenter. 3-2. When we talked about it, he's one of the better two-strike hitters in the game of baseball today.
Batting 266. There are only 3 hitters in the major leagues that are hitting over 300 with 2 strikes. That's why it's vital to stay ahead if you're a pitcher. Some stats that just come off the page to you.
3-2 pitch. We'll do it again.
Those hitters, by the way, we talked about Jose Iglesias, who is leading the majors with 2 strikes, batting 330. Paul Goldschmidt hitting 308, great hitter with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And David Murphy hitting 307 with Cleveland. That's with 2 strikes.
Three-two pitch again to Carpenter, and that's a base hit. Here comes Garcia. They'll wave him in, and Jaime will score. Colton Wong on his way to third. Carpenter is out at second base.
Matt Carpenter diving into second base like that. Let's check and see if Garcia touched third base. Couldn't tell. Oh, there he is. He got it. Oh boy. Oh boy. Limping in. Oh boy. Well, he's going to be out of the game now for sure.
You're hoping it's only a cramp.
Yeah, what turned out initially to be a playful thing is now not that.
And the Cardinals have asked for a review. It's now 6-1 to see if this is going to be overturned and turn into a double for Matt Carpenter. You know, Tim, we actually had the first ever replay in the history of Major League Baseball with the Cardinals.
Down here? Down here?
Frank Poli, 1999. Cliff Floyd.
Oh, yeah. I remember that story you told me.
Yeah, he's in left field. And there was a yellow line that separated whether it was still in play or not, or ruled a home run at the old ballpark. And Frank Poli actually went back and looked at one of the cameramen. He said, hey, I want a replay on your camera. I want to take a look at this. Stop play, went over there and looked at it and overturned it. And it was the actual first replay in the history of Major League Baseball, although at the time in 1999, obviously wasn't a part of the game.
Sure.
But now a greater concern is Jaime Garcia, who was limping as he went into home plate. Here's a look at Carpenter. Did he get the left hand in? He sure did. Now,
yes.
did he come off the bag? And is the tag still there?
Tag was still there. Whether he came off the bag or not doesn't look like Matt thought he did. But the key thing here is Jaime Garcia and scoring that run, rounding third and limping.
How about Matt Carpenter tonight? 4 at bats. He has seen 24 pitches.
Yeah, that's.
The only way I can say that he's out is that if he came off the bag and the tag was still applied, that's the only way he would be out.
Yeah.
Crowd tonight of 18,492, 18492, and now this turns into what could be a serious story. Jaime Garcia.
You can see him grimace. Oh boy. We were more or less kidding about him, about putting a pinch runner in for him or what have you, but
Size coffee fountain or frozen drink tomorrow, just 50 cents at your local On the Run. You earned it. Cardinals have put up 6 runs tonight. Here's Vin Mazzaro, his 10th appearance. And the infield is drawn in for the Marlins. And the hitter will be Johnny Peralta. 1 for 3 with a run scored. That pitch taken inside. We did have a shot during the commercial break of Jaime Garcia. He was back in the dugout, got up with no noticeable limp, and was trying to drink a lot of fluid. So he heads back to the clubhouse, and let's hope he's going to be all right. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's a 1-1. Peralta was robbed back in the 4th by Adeiny Echeverria. He's lined out to right, singled and scored on the 3-run homer by Hayward. That made it 5-1. Carpenter's base hit has made it 6-1. Pulled to third. Infield is in. That's Dietrich to the plate. He goes. Wong trying to stay in the rundown. He does. But not enough for Peralta to advance to second base.
It's what you can afford to do with 1 out and a 5-run lead. You take more chances. Infield in. That's why it's in. Ball hit right to Donovan Solano. Wong trying to stay in the rundown long enough to give Peralta a chance to get to second. Nothing doing.
So here is Reynolds, and that's grounded foul. Dietrich at third base.
Yeah, I said Solano at third with the double switch. Dietrich went to third, and he'll lead off the 8th. Right.
Reynolds is flied to right, grounded back to the pitcher, and walked and scored in the 7th. Foul ball. 1-2 the count. Strikeout of Reynolds. Cardinals add to their lead with a RBI single from Carpenter, his 34th driven in. All St. Louis tonight. Budweiser, make a plan to make it home. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. Jim Hayes, Tim McCarver, Dan McLaughlin with you. Crowd of 18,492. Marlins Park here in Miami. And Randy Choate will take over for tonight's starter, Jaime Garcia. Numbers last year for Choate as he made 61 appearances are Chevy called to the pen. He'll get Dietrich, Gordon, and Ichiro. So all lefties for Randy Choate.
One of the few times Randy comes in the game and has the possibility of facing 3 left-handed batters.
To further the point, too, it's one of the rare times he starts an inning. You know, many times
right.
He's coming in the middle of an inning, and it's for one hitter. Here's a 1-0 pitch and a base hit to left. So Dietrich is aboard. Leadoff hit here in the bottom of the 8th. The Hyundai pitch arsenal. Sinker, slider. That sums it up for Randy Choate.
Forget that curveball. That .6 doesn't exist.
There's D. Gordon.
Watch a bunt right here. The situation reeks.
And a strike to Gordon, who singled to left back in the 3rd. Jaime Garcia at one point set down 11 straight. Wong, can he turn it? No, threw it away. Ball stays in play. The speed of Gordon coming into play on that particular turn by Colton Wong. A good throw. They may have had him.
Well, the key thing was Peralta making sure of one. Giving Wong, I mean, you got a 5-run lead. Throw right there. And Colton didn't have a grip of the ball. A lot of times when that happens, the ring finger becomes involved. You throw a changeup to first.
One out. Gordon, the runner at first base. Here's Ichiro. Twice he's grounded out to 3rd and struck out back in the 3rd inning.
Pivotal for the Cardinals to get one of the next 2 hitters right now. From a catcher standpoint, you're working the lineup. You don't want Stanton up there with representing the tying run. I beg your pardon, he can't do that, but you still don't want him up there representing the. I'm trying to wiggle out of this.
Nice play by Grichuk.
I can't. Forget it.
How about this? You just don't want him to come in and have a chance to do big time damage.
Right.
That's what you're thinking.
He's let off an inning 3 times tonight, and if they get Jeff Baker, and it's going to be against a right-hander, get me out of this. Help!
By the way, through all that, I knew what you meant.
I got to go.
Wait a minute, you're my ride home. Sit back down right now. Our Chevy call to the pit. 4th appearance for the right-hander this year. And 2 outs. And we'll see a pinch hitter. This will be Justin Bour, who has tremendous power, and you can see why. He's a big guy. Marlins are giving him a look. The league is starting to figure him out a little bit. Now it's his turn to make that adjustment back.
He's a good low ball hitter from what we understand too. Built for a low ball hitter. And Seth Maness, to be effective, has to keep the ball down, so we'll see.
Two outs, runner at first. Cardinals wrap up the road trip tomorrow. Then Joe Madden and the Chicago Cubs will be in town on Friday night. Cubs are playing very well too.
They've won 4 in a row, and they escaped Kershaw and Greinke. They won both those games, even though Kershaw and Greinke were not the losing pitchers.
And a grounder towards first. It's a fair ball, and Reynolds steps on the bag for the out. We head to the 9th. Cardinals on top. It's 6-1. One of the key members of the Cardinals and went back to Atlanta in the Hayward deal, Shelby Miller. No decision tonight. It's 1-1. The Nats and the Atlanta Braves. That's in the 10th. Miller was 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned. He struck out 5. Got off to a great start, then slowed down, and has a very good start tonight. Key hit in this game, the Hayward home run. A 3-run homer. The Cardinals have 2 home runs tonight. Jason, a 3-run shot in the 7th. Colt Wong with a 2-run homer in the 3rd. Matt Carpenter with the other RBI. That was in the 8th with a base hit to left.
Talk about atypical. Last night was more the typical Cardinal win, a 4-3 win. As you said, 26 one-run games, 15-11 in those games this year. But the 2-run games, the 3-run games.
High fly ball into right. Stanton makes the catch. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Along with Jim Hayes and Tim McCarver, Dan McLaughlin with you from Marlins Park.
In those games, those 2- and 3-run games don't represent the typical games that the Cardinals may be playing that are tied in the 5th, tied in the 6th, dependent upon the bullpen and how well they do. They may win by 4, but the runs come in later innings.
How much stock do you put into to follow up that point, Tim, as Molina hits it slowly left side, and it's an infield hit for the chugging Yadier Molina down that first base line. Don't say that very often, an infield hit for Molina.
No, you don't.
But to follow up your point, the fact that this core group of players, Molina, many on the pitching staff, a Matt Carpenter, a John Jay, they have been in pressure situations in postseason play, World Series play. How much that carries over to tight games.
Important. No question.
They just seem to know how to win.
Well, we talk about that, those, the game within the game all the time, and that's really a valid point, Dan. I think they've been in so many. You're in so many pressure situations. They're not pressure situations anymore. I mean, they are, but they're much more capable of handling. Experience certainly comes in handy in situations like that. We've been here before. Not that they're blasé about it by any means, because they're not.
I think a great example of that would be Kansas City. Looking at that team this time last year, nice play, Dietrich. And is it a double play? It sure is. Barely off the ground. Line drive catch turns into a double play. 6-1 as we head to the bottom of the ninth. Tim was just telling me during the break about how well read he is. And there's no doubt about that.
I did not say anything about that. Quit it.
You tell me about a great book.
Well, I'm reading about the Wright brothers right now. David McCullough's book about Wilbur and Orville. Very interesting.
There's a base hit for Stanton. It's almost coming too easy right now for Giancarlo Stanton.
I mean, again, Colton Wong had no time to react. The balls are hit so hard.
You're telling me about a great weekend you had reading books. It's outstanding.
Now, Wilbur and Orville. Dayton, Ohio. Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Very familiar places.
Give me that look for 1-0 pitch, and it's taken up and in for a strike by Ozuna.
Been a while since Seth Maness has finished a game. Trying to get a double play ball right here.
1-1 pitch, taken for a strike. Off the mask of Yadier Molina. Stanton stands at first, his fourth 3-hit game this year. And it's a swing and a miss. Strikeout of Ozuna for Seth Maness.
Boy, that was a deceptive breaking ball. That's something Seth and Derek Lilliquist have been working on, but that had a wrinkle in it that was not too nice to Ozuna.
Jaime Garcia, our Budweiser player of the game, 7 innings, 5 hits, a run. It was earned. The home run by Stanton. Real Muto is the hitter with 1 out and a runner at first. The hit speeds for Stanton: 111, 108, and 100 here tonight on his base hits. Miles per hour coming off the bat. It was interesting, Tim, in talking with some of the Cardinals staff. You know, they believe at some point Seth Maness could be a starter. There was some thought to even stretching him out earlier this year when the injuries started to pile up. Time will tell. But they love him clearly in this role. I mean, he excels here. That's pulled down the left field line and yanked foul.
You know, everybody has their opinions, and certainly the staff of the Cardinals to make the ultimate decision on Seth. But right now, I do not see him as a potential starter. He's too valuable in many ways, and plus hitters that face Seth the second and third time, I think, are going to be better able to gauge his stuff. He's got that type stuff that in my view is better served one time around through the order.
1-2 the count. To me, there's one play that really sums up his value in terms of what he means to this team and this staff. But you think about the double play that he got in Minnesota in a game that Garcia started. They intentionally loaded the bases thinking, well, we might get a double play, and sure enough, they got the double play. He doesn't walk anybody. It's rare. There's a fly ball into right field. Jason Hayward is there for out number 2.
He pitches also with accelerating confidence. More confidence, confidence, confidence. One thing you hate to do is when a pitcher has his rhythm in a particular area, you don't like to mess with that and put him in another area unless his arm is just too valuable to pass up like Carlos Martinez.
Sure. But Danny Echeverria, the final hope for Miami. Cardinals trying to pick up win number 47 here tonight. Ground ball to the right side. This should do it. Maness to the bag. It's win number 47 for the Cardinals. They hold on 6-1 the final. Jaime Garcia, tremendous, Tim, here tonight.
Just absolutely terrific.
So the Cardinals improved to 47-24. Miami drops to 30-43. Redbirds looking for a sweep tomorrow night. Post-game show next.